Fast forward 12 months and here we are. Nick Daicos has another opportunity to win the Brownlow Medal. However, it's not as clear cut as what it could have been last year if not for that injury against Hawthorn. He has two main competitors who we'll touch on in Patrick Cripps and Lachie Neale. I think Lachie Neale, that pest, he scares me a little bit more than what Patrick Cripps offers this year. I'll explain to you why, but it's really concerning and really could be the difference between Nick Daicos winning the Brownlow at age 21 and not, okay? So, are we live? We're live. In 2024, Nick Daicos accumulated 117 coaches' votes in a losing season, seeing as Collingwood did not make the finals. That's obviously one of the best amount of, or it is the best amount of coaches' votes accumulated in the year. He kicked a goal a game off 2 shots per game, which has him 7th amongst midfielders. So he was able to increase that output, playing through the midfield and even being able to roll forward when being tagged. He was able to hit the scoreboard. So this versatility already that we're talking about, Nick Daicos in 2024, it's just, evident in the stats there, right? Averages nearly a goal assist a game, top 20 amongst midfielders, and then second amongst mids for score launches, okay? So this is somewhere where Patrick Cripps and Lachie Neale aren't quite near that mark. 2.4 per game is top 2 in the league for midfielders, and that makes a difference to be able to launch plays that end up resulting in scoring sequences. So Nick Daicos initially breaking open lines throughout the thirds of the field, leading to scoring results, okay? What was the other conversation going into 2024? Can Nick Daicos win a hard ball or a contested possession? That was the burning question. He passes that with flying colours, averages 14 contested possessions in the season, 4th in the league behind number 1, who was Patrick Cripps. And what stood out to me when going through everything that makes the case for Nick Daicos to be a Brownlow medalist in 2024 was his ability to gather the ball from hitouts, being top 2, 1 behind Patrick Cripps, and then also to be number 3 in loose ball gets when the ball is in dispute in open play. So he can be that hit 2 guy in the stoppages and at centre bounce, but also when the ball is in motion across the field, he's always the first person to each contest. So that's something the stats won't be able to talk to, and you have to watch him, maybe even have to be at the ground to really appreciate his running capacity. He is literally sprinting from contest to contest non-stop and hardly gets a break. And not only does he get to the contest, he's able to get a return on that by way of being the cleanest beneath the knees and resulting in, by the end of the year, being number 3 in loose ball gets. And not many people share the profile of being able to be the go-to guy when it comes to the hitouts, the hit 2 guy in the stoppages, and to be able to also accumulate a wealth of loose ball gets. Players similar to that sort of profile are players like Caleb Serong and Tom Green, not to the same level of standard, but the difference and the reason why we're not talking about Tom Green and Serong being top 3 fancies in the Brownlow is because they're not the prettiest players. They are, Tom Green is like Patrick Cripps, Serong is like a shorter Patrick Cripps in a sense, clearance beasts, but they just don't hit the scoreboard as well as Patrick Cripps, Nick Daicos, and so on and so forth. So that's why they're not there, but they do have that ability to be the hit 2 guy and to also accumulate a bunch of loose ball gets. It's funny because when you look at Patrick Cripps and Nick Daicos on the stat sheet, they share a lot of similarities. They share disposals, a bunch of disposals. They share clearances, a bunch of them. Contested possessions, both top 4 there. Even on goals, essentially, Cripps had a real accurate time in front of goals this year. I think he had 1 shot per game on average and converted 70% of them in the year. So that's what gives him a real good shot at the Brownlow when all things are said and done. And the question we probably all need to ask ourselves when considering who we think is more likely going into this Brownlow race is, what are the umpires going to appreciate more? Are they going to appreciate Patrick Cripps, who can get his head over the ball and win any ball and get it out as he pleases? You can have 3-4 players tackle him. He's going to find a way to handball it to Walsh, Chera, Hewitt, Akers, whoever it may be. He has that ability. He can walk through tackles, and he's turned on Hulk mode many times against Collingwood this year, 2022. And the fact that he's been able to score and be accurate in front of goals when needed throughout the times this year is going to take him very close in this Brownlow race. I think with Nick Daicos, the umpire's going to appreciate the swiftness, the work rate, the way he just hovers across the ground and just ticks along. I think he has more exclamation points in the year. He had that goal against Gold Coast, even though they lost. A goal against Brisbane late in the year. Crucial goals both times against Carlton, one that essentially won them the game, won the Pies the game. Crucial goals against the Dogs and North Melbourne, where he was tagged for the most part of the game. So I just think he has many goals from within 2024, within games where he is already in conversations for picking up Brownlow votes for those games. I think those are the exclamation points that really help his case. The way he moves across the ground, his kicking going inside 50, his ability to hit the scoreboard. He's a likable character on the field. He's very kind to the umpires, never complaining, or at least so it seems. Those two fixtures between Nick Daicos and Patrick Cripps will be very important in the grand scheme of things on the Brownlow night. The first fixture, Nick Daicos was best on, kicked the winning goal. But then in that losing game for Carlton against us later in the year, Cripps was best on. So the question is there a saving grace in that game against Carlton late in the year from Collingwood? Do the umpires give the Pies the benefit of the doubt and give the full allotment to someone who was on the winning side? That's a question we won't know until the votes are read out. And we move on to Lachie Neale, who scares me a little bit more than Patrick Cripps in 2024. Why? Because Lachie Neale won last season off the back of a very average year. And I would say he's improved by at least 25% this year. And the umpires already love what they see from Lachie Neale. If he was to build on that this year, and he has, what reason do the umpires have to vote against him in 2024 besides the fact of being scared that the public will humiliate umpires if he wins it again? But there's a fair push from Lachie Neale, the Lachie Neale party, because he averaged 3 more disposals than last year, 26 up to 29. He kicked 13 goals this year. Last year, he kicked just the 3 in that Brownlow Medal year. He averaged a goal assist in 2024. He only averaged half of that in 2023. He accumulated a career high in scoring involvements per game and has 10 more coaches' votes in 2024. So I know relative to Patrick Cripps and Nick Daicos, it's not really a better year, relatively speaking, because he hasn't had big moments. He's not very eye-catching at times, but whatever he's doing on the field, the umpires love that. And they loved that last year in an average year, a mediocre year for Lachie Neale. What's the difference now when he's played an even better season in still a winning season where Brisbane are playing in a preliminary final? I mean, that's the scary thought, that Lachie Neale could win another Brownlow. He's third. We look at the fixtures. That late fixture in the year, Nick Daicos clearly best on 25 touches, 2 goals. Arguably one of the goals of the year, running at full pace against one of the direct candidates in that Brownlow race. Running past Lachie Neale and co and kicking that goal at full pace was unbelievable. But then you have the round 3 clash where Collingwood won, but Nick Daicos played off half back and Lachie Neale collected 35 of his own, with 20 of them being contested, kicked the goal. What's stopping the umpires from giving Lachie Neale the 3 votes in that losing game for the Lions? Maybe Jamie Elliott, 16 touches, 4 goals, who knows? The umpires are going to have a big decision to make. Do they give it to the winning side and Jamie Elliott, who's crucial in that game, or do they give it to Lachie Neale, who was valiant in that performance? So that's where we stand with it all. I think at the end of the day, Brownlow or not with Nick Daicos, I mean, it's an umpire's medal. We're just sort of we make it bigger than what it probably should be. I think the AFL Coaches MVP is the most illustrious and alluring and highly coveted medal amongst them all, besides the premiership, of course. You look at Nick's season, he's been able to add such great versatility to his game. Well, not maybe add, but just show that he does have this side to him. He can win the ball within the contest. He can kick goals. He can play with someone tagging him. He can do everything. He can play off the half-back line, forward line, midfield, doesn't matter. He can be the hit-to guy, or he can be the guy who gets the handball receive out of the contest. Take your pick. Pick your poison, some would say. That's my 2 cents on this whole thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Hopefully Nick Daicos can win a Brownlow and avenge the close loss he had in the Brownlow race last year due to some unfortunate circumstances. Go Pies.